This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
All right, so I did hit record.
There's only one thing left to do.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 161 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
I'm heavily conflicted.
Ever since The Phantom Menace, we've all wanted to see Darth Maul versus Darth Vader.
I was having trouble focusing because I'm like, oh, but James Arnold Taylor. Oh, but I like Steven Sand. Oh, but James Arnold Taylor. Like, I felt bad.
This Master Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Is Obi-Wan Kenobi going to be the first Sith do-back? Who knows?
You know, Star Wars fans are synonymous with making their kids ask him really, really awesome questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen! Up to Neverland!
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Wow. Oh, what?
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers! Welcome to Skywalking Through Neverland. This is your fun-filled Star Wars and Disney podcast that leads you on a tour through decades of fandom. I am Richard Wolosky, and now everyone, please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who puts a spring in my step.
Aw.
Welcome to the second day of spring.
That was very, very cute. I like how you shoehorn that in there.
Very unplanned.
Well, Skywalkers, we'd like to start each and every show with a giant Wookiee hug to our family of Skywalkers who listen to the show every week, the Scope Walkers, and the Face Huggers who watch our live stream because we live stream this show every week, and everyone who tweets at us at SkywalkingPod, and of course, everyone who posts on our Facebook group and just shares the positivity about our collective adventure through fandom. We love that we can share this all together with you.
This is where fans go to find the bright center to the universe.
Aww.
Now, our bright center to the universe right now is here in Long Beach, where we're recording on March the 21st, 2017. And now, Sarah, I will prolong this question. What time is it?
It's 12 o'clock. Good morning.
Whoa, it's 12 o'clock! And according to Minnie, that means it's good morning.
Yes, she should have said good afternoon or good noon.
I wonder if it'll change over and we can ask her again.
It's 12:01. Good afternoon.
She did it!
All right, you know what? Minnie never disappoints.
That was really cool.
All right, well, you know who else is not going to disappoint? Us on this week's show, because we're going to be talking Twin Suns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if fans have ever been more split on a Rebels episode than this.
No way.
And we're going to be talking to our good friend Tyler Westhause, since Darth Maul is his favorite character, and we figured he would have a thing or two to say. And boy, did he.
Yeah. Well, also, luckily for us, Skywalkers Donald Wicks and Joey Pittman were among the lucky attendees of the big screening at Lucasfilm, which was then followed by a Q&A with Dave Filoni and Sam Witwer. And you guys, they took audio. So we'll be playing some stuff.
We've got some audio. And how many questions do you think Dave Filoni avoided?
I guess we'll find out.
Nice. All right. We also have shout-outs, a Skywalker of the Week, and Things We Want to Share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Now, we want to follow up on some things we had talked about last week, like Beauty and the Beast. We had seen it for our second time. After hearing the press conference and all the behind-the-scenes stories, it deserved a second viewing.
Absolutely. I'm really glad we got to see a second viewing.
Yeah, it was a second viewing / a birthday meetup.
Mm-hmm. At Downtown Disney.
Yeah.
Aww.
So we saw it again. Now, you know what? Let's say that I don't think the general populace we're split on this movie because it made $174 million over the weekend.
Oh my goodness.
That's just silly money there. So,
and you know what? Our screening Sunday night was packed.
Yeah.
Like usually you go to the downtown Disney Theater, you get there, half an hour beforehand, and there's maybe a few people in line. Well, we got there 45 minutes beforehand, and the line was already way back for just our one theater. So,
yeah. Come on, millennials, you're disappointing me. You're supposed to get there at the last minute.
Yeah.
How about a box office tangent? Rogue One jumped from 25 in the box office charts to 14. Jumped up 11 spots. That's unheard of. Usually the movie goes down and down and down. But I think fans like us a couple of Sundays ago knew that this was going to be their last time seeing Rogue One in the theater, so they better get out and see it. In fact, at our local theater, which we do not condone, Rogue One is now up on the key marquee.
Oh.
Outside, you'll see Rogue One, where before it was buried in there.
It wasn't there.
Rogue One at this point has made $530 million.
Wow.
All right.
Now that's domestic.
That's domestic,
correct?
yes.
Okay. I was
End tangent.
Okay.
All right, Beauty and the Beast. So, Sarah, we saw it again for our second time. So what did you think the second time around?
Okay, so the hump, I had gotten over the hump, basically. I know what to expect. I was glad that we had all those behind-the-scenes info and everything. And this time I really enjoyed it. Like, I even found myself tearing up at certain moments, like when the Beast and Belle get in their outfits for their dance and they're like seeing each other for the first time. You know, I got a little like choked up. And then the awfulest part, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but if you know Beauty and the Beast, then it's not a spoiler. But when the inanimate objects start to turn back into inanimate objects after the final petal falls, it's like, no, you know, and it's done so well, and it's just so sad, and they really take their time with that moment. I really enjoyed it, and I found a tear falling down my face. So
just like that last rose petal.
Yes, absolutely. No, it really
how symbolic.
It really hit me in the emotional feels. What about you?
Yeah, I think the first time I was just so caught up in the scenery and the way that the camera was more focused on looking at the production design more than with the story.
Right.
But this time I found myself watching the story more.
Good.
And I liked it a whole lot better the second time around. Now, the biggest takeaway from the live action was LeFou.
Yes.
And the fact that he turned around on Gaston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a whole character arc.
Yeah, he did have a character arc, and he did not like the fact that Gaston was leaving Maurice in the woods to be eaten by wolves. Mm-hmm. So that's when his ethics started to kick in. And I liked LeFou more the second time around as an overall character, meaning I liked him better than all the other characters.
Okay.
Because of his ethical arc, let's say.
Right. Yeah, he was already turning, and then the fact that Gaston left him there under the cadenza,
right?
And
Yeah.
not help him.
Yeah.
His like best friend, supposedly.
His confidant.
Yeah.
The one who idolized him. Like,
that was his final straw.
Yeah.
LeFou was like, all right, I'm over this.
Right. And then just to see LeFou being accepted into Belle's and the prince's party in the end, I thought that was a great moment.
Yeah, that was really neat.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a great moment for everybody, including that woman who canceled her $6,000 Disney trip we mentioned last week because Disney's ethics didn't hold up to her own ethics, whatever that means. Mm-hmm. Now, you had showed me yesterday, Sarah, a video by @RandyRainbow.
Yes.
The funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
Oh my goodness.
And not only were we upset about this intolerance, but this guy, he went so far as to make this hilarious video. If you like snarky, you're going to love this.
A gay character in a Disney movie will promote tolerance. It'll pollute your children's minds with the idea that who they are is okay. How could Disney make this choice? How could Mickey Mouse agree? He should spell his name MICKEY LGBT. They'll inject their propaganda until everyone is gay. So it's time to boycott Disney now. It's time to make them pay. It's insane, it's bizarre, this progressive open-mindedness is something that you don't see every day. Ow! Leave your kids in the car, it received a PG rating, but in this case PG stands for pretty gay. Keep it far from your niece and your nephew. Or your nephew might act like your niece. Get your purse, leave your snack, and we're not coming back till it's straight. Good and straight. Kill the release. When I bring my young children to a lavish musical with fabulous costumes starring the hot guy from Downton Abbey and featuring 6-time Tony Award winner Audra McDonald, it isn't to make them gay. It's to make them extra straight. I say we kill the release. Who's with me? I am. Ah. There's a twist in the plot, and not only is he gay, he's introspective and he's ethical as well.
Kill the release.
I love that last line.
Oh, yeah.
And he's ethical as well.
Yeah.
Come on, parents. Come on.
Yeah.
What is there not to see here?
Crazy.
Yeah, so I love his snarky overtones. I just think that it's going to be lost on a lot of people who just can't see beyond their own nose.
Can't see past the end of their nose.
Nope. So, Skywalkers, what do you think about that video and this whole thing about Disney's promoting broadness?
Oh, yeah.
Stretching out your mind.
What it is, it's hashtag representation matters. And this is a very important hashtag. And, I tweeted it out with this video because, we feel strongly about this. Like, everyone needs to be represented.
Yeah, don't live in your little tiny bubble.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tweet at us. Yes?
Oh, actually, later on in our episode, when we have the shout-outs, there was a lot of response from our Skywalkers.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into that a little bit more.
Yeah. All right, now let's talk about another segment from last week where we introduced a new segment called Fandom Flashback. This is the name that you came up with, sweetie.
Yes, on our walk.
Yes. And this is where we're going to pull out some old issues of Bantha Tracks and Starlog Magazine, Famous Monster Magazine, Fantastic Films, some Disney archival stuff, just to see where fandom lied in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and to see where the fandom perspectives were. Like last week, we told the story of this woman who went to a science fiction convention in 1981 and put up a poll. Do you really think Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father? Got a whole ton of funny responses. If you want to hear them, listen to episode 160. Now, we were talking about the old issues of Bantha Tracks, and I mentioned that there was a record that was inserted in one of the issues, and I'd never heard this recording. I looked for it on YouTube, couldn't find it. It was in issue number 34. There was 35 issues of Bantha Tracks. This was in issue number 34. So I had reached out to Steven Sansweet, and he helped me narrow down where I could find this, and I found it. So thank you, Steven. Now let's play an excerpt from this recording, and this is called Sprocket Systems Distinctive by Design. And it's pretty much Ben Burt describing different aspects of the history of sound design. But right now, here is Ben Burt describing the creation of the lightsaber sound effect.
Sprocket Systems. Distinctive by design.
The moment that I saw a painting of the lightsaber, I think that part of what I saw was based on some sounds in the very old Flash Gordon serials, actually.
Slim Cat. Yes, but our only one.
I discovered that there was a motor on a projector, a movie projector at USC, which made almost that proper sound of the old Flash Gordon serials. It might have even been a motor that they recorded. So I recorded that, and then I felt that really wasn't quite right, though, because I felt that it didn't have a feeling of scintillation to it, sort of a sparkling aspect it didn't have. It had just a buzz. So I recorded some static in the back of the television set I had at the time by placing a condenser microphone very near the back of the picture tube, and you actually picked up a very nasty buzz. And I took that sputtering sound and the hum of this motor on the projector and combined the two, just mixed them together on 2 tracks of the tape recorder. This was the basic sound from which all the lightsaber noises were then derived. The movements of the swords were created by playing that sound over a speaker in a room and then re-recording the sound with a handheld microphone, which could be waved around and moved around in front of the speaker, which was playing this hum. And you could whiz the microphone by the speaker very quickly and get a as it like it went by. And it was this aspect of giving the sound some dynamics, which helped it really to seem like it really belonged with the swords when it was finally synchronized with the visuals.
And in case you didn't know, Sprocket Systems became Skywalker Sound in 1987.
One John Jedi says nerding out. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've heard Ben Burtt describe the origins of the lightsaber sound effect, but no matter how many times you hear that, you just gotta wonder, wow, what kind of a brilliant mind would go, okay, 1 + 1 equals an awesome lightsaber sound effect.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, between that and banging a wire on the side of the 101 freeway to get the laser sounds. So after the show goes out, I'll put this whole recording up on our Facebook group.
Okay.
Because it's a 6-minute recording.
Sound clip?
Which is really, really interesting. Unfortunately, someone just asked, can you show us the video? There is no video. This is from a record.
Okay.
That was inserted in Bantha Tracks, that you had to put the whole issue of Bantha Tracks on your record player.
Wow.
And play that. That's why I never did it. because that would have been the equivalent of opening something. Not going to open it.
Wait, so there was a record that came with the issue?
With the issue of Bantha Tracks, yes.
Oh my.
A little vinyl record.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't want to ruin it.
So thank you, YouTube or Steven Sansweet.
Yeah, no, it's not, that's the thing. It's not on. It's not on YouTube. And I thought, you know what? Maybe Steven Sansweet will know the answer, and he did. So
wow.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad we could play that for you, because as far as I know, I've never heard that anywhere else.
Yeah.
That makes me just so excited that I start talking like this. All right, now I think we have one more thing to share.
Yes, we do. And that is a contest that you can enter right now, and do it fast, because when this episode comes out, you'll probably have like less than 24 hours. Oh. So, Skywalkers who are now watching us live, you can do this right now. We have a giveaway contest. Thanks to Voodoo, we have 5 digital copies of Rogue One to give away. Free. Totally free. So this is a Twitter contest in which you have to follow Skywalking Pod and then RT that pinned tweet. So you're going to retweet the pinned tweet on Skywalking Pod that mentions this contest. And that way you'll be entered to win. There will be 5 winners, which we will notify on March 23rd, which is, of course, right before you will be able to buy your own digital copy of the film in time for the Voodoo viewing party on March 24th. Because Rogue One comes up on digital March 24th. So it's very exciting. Now, this is a US only contest because Voodoo is a US only service. Unfortunately, we did not plan those rules. So I'm sorry, Ray, you're a sad Canadian, right there. And everyone there.
So what you're saying is that the Scope Walkers and the Face Huggers, they get the extra added benefit of tuning in right now.
Yes.
That they can
retweet right now.
Yeah. And get a leg up.
Absolutely.
It
So
pays to tune in.
It does. So retweet and follow us. I'm sure most of you are already following us, obviously. And there are 87 entries already, says Glenn. So thank you, Glenn.
Wow.
But with 5 winners, your odds are a little better than just that one winner. So that is great. Now, if you win or if you don't win, you do not have to follow Voodoo. This is just our contest. So, but you can follow Voodoo Fans if you like. Do. It's at Voodoo Fans, and the hashtag is Voodoo Viewing Party. So, actually, I'm getting a little ahead of myself because on March 24th, what we want to share with all of you Skywalkers is that there will be a Voodoo viewing party for everyone who buys that digital copy or wins that digital copy on March 24th. And we're going to watch it too.
Yeah, we are.
Yes. So starting at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, March 24th, Voodoo will be hosting that live viewing party of Rogue One. You can pre-order now. You can follow at Voodoo Fans on Twitter for fun facts, trivia, and giveaways all throughout the screening. So are you wondering how this works?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay. So I'm going to let you guys know how this Voodoo viewing party works because they've done this before, but we have never been involved. This was the first year that Voodoo has contacted us and asked us to help promote this event. So
why did they say that they wanted to get us involved?
Oh, because we have a lot of Star Wars fans and friends that are following us.
What were the exact words they used?
That we're an influencer. A social media influencer.
Everyone wins.
I know. I was so excited. All right. So, a Voodoo viewing party. It's a fun and engaging way to watch a movie. So, what you're going to do is sync your screen with thousands of people across the nation, including us, and you're going to follow along on Twitter for commentary, reactions, fun facts, and giveaways. So, what you're going to do, you can pre-order Rogue One, A Star Wars Story on Vudu, and then you will RSVP to the event. Now, this is an event on Facebook that Vudu has posted. So you can RSVP there. It's really easy. In fact, on skywalkingthroughneverland.com, we have a page that'll tell you all of these rules and like how to, and the links to all of this. Now, you're going to queue up the movie on Friday, March 24th, to press play at exactly 6 p.m. And then on a separate device, like your phone or your iPad or your computer, log onto Twitter and follow along at Voodoo Fans. So you will want to follow them. And you're going to tweet with the hashtag Voodoo Viewing Party, all one word. And you can just share your comments, questions, reactions, and then...
Hold on, just for anyone who doesn't know about Voodoo, it's VUDU.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, moving right along.
VUDU Viewing Party. Okay. Now, you're going to have to keep an eye out, I'm sure, at Voodoo Fans and that hashtag. Keep an eye out for trivia questions and prize announcements, and those winners will be chosen at random and announced during the party. And there's some really cool prizes.
What are we looking at?
Yeah, so now there's a contest you can enter as well beforehand. There's like a trivia that you can take, and you might win a Darth Vader helmet. There's some Rogue One items here as well. So we have Rogue One t-shirts, looks like a laptop case, a little, like a mug.
Backpack, hat.
Yeah, and a sweatshirt, I think that is. It's amazing. And then one of the things you can win is actually a Battlefront game. Wow, from Sony. There's a laptop you could possibly win. There's K2SO dolls. There's pillows with Star Wars on them. There's Lego sets. Oh my gosh, it looks like even a TCL Roku TV you could win. So, wow, that's amazing. Super cool. So we need to sync our screens on 6 p.m. on March 24th, and make sure you follow that hashtag and tweet while you're watching. So that'll be really fun. Join us on Twitter, you guys. So once again, a reminder, go to @SkywalkingPod on Twitter and retweet the pinned tweet. You will be entered to win one of 5 digital copies of Rogue One.
Rogue One / Skywalking Through Neverland virtual meetup.
Woohoo!
See you then.
All right.
Now, I feel like we have one more thing to share. Just one more thing we were going to save until next week. But hey, we just found out that we made the podcast stage at Star Wars Celebration Orlando.
Oh my goodness. The email came in. I was making dinner. And Richard, you were like, sweetie.
Get in here now. So Skywalkers, put this in your calendar. Saturday, April 15th from 10:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m.
It's the first podcast stage of the morning.
Now, this is also Rebels Day.
Yes.
So hopefully the majority of the stuff won't happen until later on that day.
I guess we'll find out. But
well, at Anaheim, they did set it for the middle of the day into the evening.
Oh, okay. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, because I know earlier on in the day there was like a press conference, I believe. So, but
we can't go to that this year.
No.
Yeah, but you know what? Last December, we were saying, you know what? In case we do get picked for the podcast stage, let's start planning now.
Yep.
So we've been planning this for months. We have so many surprises, games, prizes.
Yes, and there will be an exclusive Star Wars Celebration pin that will be given first to those Skywalkers who come to the podcast stage.
Should we do like we did last time, and the ones who are wearing those Skywalker shirts get in first?
Oh, I don't. Well, see, I don't know if we'll be manning the line. We'll be inside preparing.
That's true.
So
okay,
we won't say that, but we'll be excited if you guys show up in any of these T-shirts that we've designed.
Yeah. So it will be 1 hour of power-packed entertainment. So last year, our show was called the Skywalking Through Neverland Interactive Fandom Adventure. This time, we are skywalking through 40 years of fandom. We're going to have a little mini episode of classic Marvel Star Wars comics and lots of surprises.
Absolutely. So we are excited to see you there. So once again, that is Saturday, April 15th, 10:30 a.m. at the podcast stage.
And let's put out the announcement that we will need some volunteers.
Yes,
this is
we
a
will.
big show, so we're going to need some volunteers. How should we do this?
You know what? We're going to post in our Facebook group.
So look there for further details. We are so excited. And now that is Things We Want to Share.
Now let's talk with Tyler Westhause of the Star Wars Podcast Alliance group about last week's Rebels episode, Twin Suns. And yes, there are spoilers ahead.
Attention Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning!
Attention Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning!
Jedi Order report. This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. This message is a warning to any surviving Jedi. It's a warning. Dark Shadow. This is a warning.
I can feel his presence. See him. My mind's eye. Will it end here?
You're in the wrong place.
Like this?
The long-awaited final duel that pitted Obi-Wan against his Phantom Menace arch-nemesis happened in last week's episode of Star Wars Rebels with Twin Suns.
Now, this was a very divisive episode with opinions ranging from loved it to not my favorite. Here to help us break down Twin Suns is Tyler Westhause, whose favorite character happens to be Darth Maul. So let's see where his critique lies.
Hey, Tyler!
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. I'm always happy to be on.
Tyler's like Trisha. You guys are both regulars.
Yes,
not
it's true.
Irregulars. Like there was misconception last time when I said it, that Trisha was irregular. Not irregular, but regular. So,
You're right. I have been on quite a lot in the past couple of months.
Yeah, well, you know what? You offer some good insights.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really eager to hear what you have to say.
Your audience has clearly forgotten to email in and say they don't like me, which I appreciate. Keep forgetting.
Oh no, they do. So don't worry about that. It's all
they do email in and say they don't like me. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Some call.
You just don't care. Thanks. my final Skywalking Through Neverland appearance until the next one.
Exactly. Until next week.
Yeah.
All right. Now, speaking of this week, let's talk about Twin Suns. And I'm very eager, knowing that your favorite character is Darth Maul. What did you think of this episode, Tyler?
I'm very conflicted about this episode, and I think this is the thing in Star Wars I'm most conflicted about, more so than even like my feelings on the prequels or Rogue One. I watched this episode Saturday morning. It was about 6 a.m. I had seen it just gone up on the app. I was watching it on the app, and the entire time I was sort of I was really excited, but I was also slightly like numb in a way, because I started getting more and more of a feeling that Maul was not going to make it. Which, spoiler alert, he didn't. And when I paused the show at one point to use the restroom, and I looked at the timer, and it was right after Ezra and Obi-Wan, like right after Ezra woke up. And I looked, and it said like 17 minutes out of 22. I'm just like, this is not enough time.
Right.
This is very, very short. And then Maul showed up, and I'm just like, awesome. But real quick before that, I'm not sure if you guys saw on Twitter, but I mentioned that Obi-Wan Kenobi's due back. Yes. I've christened Doobie-Wan Kenobi. And that's canon until further notice. So, Pablo, if I'm wrong, correct me. But Ezra wakes up next to Obi-Wan and Doobie-Wan. And
that works?
it was very odd, the entire episode, because Maul was only in it for like 3 or 4 minutes at most.
Like the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be all about him. Like Obi-Wan, I think, might have been in the episode more than Darth Maul was. I'd have to take out a stopwatch, but it was very, very odd to me. I'm heavily conflicted.
Now, did it seem odd that this storyline had to be in Star Wars Rebels? Does it fit here? What's going on?
I don't think it should have been in Rebels. I would have much rather I mean, the ideal way I would have liked to see it was being like an Obi-Wan Kenobi standalone with Ewan McGregor, which is what everybody said they wanted.
Oh.
But from a business perspective, it obviously wouldn't make any sense to have Obi-Wan versus Maul in like a mainstream movie. Because mainstream Star Wars fans are going to remember, like, oh, this is a guy who got cut in half. Why is he alive? And how do you explain that to a regular audience that doesn't keep up with Rebels? Like, a lot of my friends who like Star Wars don't even know that Darth Maul's alive. Or not anymore, now.
Right.
Now he's dead. But
Right.
I would have liked to see it in that medium. I would have liked to see it in maybe a novel. I think you could have really bounced back between the two characters, maybe sensing each other in the desert. Something like that. I think Rebels was the wrong format for it. I think it was handled tastefully, but if there's like an alternate version where maybe they write a book about this one day, I would much rather the book to maybe be an extended version of some kind.
Right.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. I think that's the overall feeling that this storyline does not belong in Star Wars Rebels. It's not Obi-Wan's story. It's not Darth Maul's story. This is Ezra's story. So if this were to be placed in here, we would need to see more Ezra and how Ezra would have handled Darth Maul, since he's the one that really brought Darth Maul to Obi-Wan in the desert.
I mean, that's all. Ezra was just a pawn the entire episode.
Right.
And Maul was just abusing him the entire time to pull Obi-Wan out of the shadows, basically. I might have mentioned before, but Ezra is probably my least favorite character on Rebels.
Oh,
so that's another reason why I was conflicted on this episode, was because my favorite character is not being featured very heavily in an episode that's sort of about him. And then it's just following a kid that I'm not a big fan of. Now, granted, this episode, I liked Ezra. I thought he was pretty good in this episode, and I'm really happy he did not get involved in the final fight between Obi-Wan and Maul. Mm-hmm. But it would have been difficult given what happened. It would have been like blink and you miss it. Yeah. But I actually did a timer. It was just about 3 seconds from the time that Maul leapt to the time that he was dead.
Wow.
I'm happy Ezra did not get involved at the end.
Right. Now, let's go back to the beginning when you were just about to press play on this episode. How did you think this was going to turn out, the Obi-Wan versus Maul duel?
Well, I was sort of psyching myself up a bit for the way that I wanted to go. My original, my dream of what they would do is I thought that Obi-Wan and Maul would fight. Well, I wanted Obi-Wan and Maul to fight. I wanted it to sort of be semi-lengthy. I wanted Obi-Wan sort of just to throw his lightsaber down and be like, I'm done. Have him and Maul, have some kind of, I don't know, words about how they're, older and they don't need to do this. Have Maul disappear for, a season. Obi-Wan just lets him live. Maul doesn't know what to do. He just walks off into the desert or something. Semi-ambiguous. You don't know if he's going to die or what. And then he dies, sacrificing himself in a fight with Vader, to defend the Ghost Crew. I think that would be, not saying that Maul needs to go full light side, but I think that would be an interesting way for that character to go out. Because up until now, Maul and Vader have never met. Yeah. I would like if they meet in, a comic or something, because that's the only way it's going to happen now.
Well, they did meet in a What If comic.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did in multiple forms, in, What If, Anakin or Obi... I don't know what I'm saying. Darth Vader was in a cave and he saw Maul's ghost or something like that. Was that it?
You know what? I never read that comic.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's when comics went from 35 cents to $5 an issue. So I was out.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you. But yeah, I was thinking the day before. I was texting my buddy Mitch and I was like, I think he's gonna live. And I thought that Maul was sort of gonna have an ambiguous ending, sort of like Ahsoka, where he would just walk into the desert and then you would not know what happens to him. The implication being Maul is just done. He's just going to let himself die. And that's sort of the way that I felt this episode went, honestly. I described it to somebody. This is slightly morbid, but there's the term suicide by cop, where some people just try and have something like that happen. And I sort of viewed this as suicide by Kenobi. I think Maul knew he was done.
Oh,
we live in Los Angeles. We know what that means.
Oh, I didn't know what that meant. So, but actually, that's interesting. You say that the overall I think StarWars.com really wants you to know that Maul is dead this time because
they made it very clear.
I think even before the West Coast was able to really view the whole episode, they had posted on YouTube that in memoriam, and they had posted a tweet. It's like, dude, guys, come on! Like, actually, I knew that one of the big characters was going to die before I started watching this episode, and process of elimination, it had to be Maul. You know,
you didn't think that Obi-Wan could have died in this episode?
No, I didn't think that. But yeah, I saw a tweet. Someone had mentioned someone died in the episode. I didn't mean to look.
I didn't know that until Brian Sims had posted it on our group discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I know a lot of people that got it spoiled for them.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
Well, in the Alliance, I had like an official discussion group set up in the Alliance group, and then there were so many people who came in. There's like the official Star Wars Facebook page just posted. Like it said, it wasn't even semi-ambiguous about Maul. It said "Goodbye, Maul," and then the video said "In Memoriam." It was super clear. And they did that 30 minutes after the episode. That just, with the way Facebook is and with autoplay, and I don't know. It just, the people who run those accounts are great people. It might have just been like maybe a mistake, but I know a lot of people who had it spoiled for them. But if you have to look at it like. To be honest, I think most people knew what was going to happen, including me. I'm just a super fan, so maybe I blinded myself. But
I like the
really
way. I like your idea of how this played out in your mind. I kind of had the same idea.
Yeah, you did.
Where I didn't want Obi-Wan to kill Darth Maul because we
didn't want to either.
We'd already been there. And it would have been a little cliche. I'm thinking before I saw the episode, is Ezra going to do it? This is Ezra's story. Rebels is Ezra's story. So is Ezra going to kill Darth Maul?
If Ezra did it, I would have stopped watching Rebels. I can say that much right now. If Ezra had been the one to kill Maul, I would have stopped.
But I don't mean cut him down with a lightsaber. I mean, like had that discussion like you were talking about. And maybe it was Ezra who convinced Darth Maul to... take his own life while doing something that was for the good of the Alliance, but he wouldn't have put it that way. And Maul thought, oh, you know what? The only way to destroy the Empire, thus destroying the Emperor, is if I let this kid go on, but I've got to sacrifice myself. So I thought it was going to go that way.
Yeah, like the way I said with Vader.
But I like that idea because I think we've all wanted to see, ever since The Phantom Menace, we've all wanted to see Darth Maul versus Darth Vader. And I love that idea, but now, we're not going to get that. So now I'm more infuriated.
You know what I think is possible? And this is just not connected to Rebels at all, and this is going to get super nerdy. Years ago, there was a Darth Maul video game that was being planned, and it got canceled early on. And there's stories that you can go to Game Informer and read about how the production was kind of muddled. I think it was the Force Unleashed crew that actually was making the game. In Twilight of the Apprentice, the Inquisitors refer to Maul as the Shadow. Maul knows who Vader is. I think it would be very interesting and I think people would be willing to buy, I think there's enough quality there, a Darth Maul game where it's in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And it's sort of Maul fighting Imperials, fighting Inquisitors, trying to survive. Maybe the end of the game he goes to Malachor. Maybe in that game he fights Vader. I think something like that could be really cool. And I think that would be the best medium to do it. Because I would like to see Maul and Vader fight in a book. But it's obviously not the same. You want to see the double-bladed lightsaber. You want to see...
Oh, yeah. You want to hear the music, too.
You want to hear the quips.
Yeah. The quips. That'd be funny. And how Darth Vader would just be standing there with one hand and Darth Maul be flipping all around him and doing butterfly kicks. And that leads into this next part here that I want to talk about the shortness of this lightsaber battle.
That 3 seconds.
Yeah, that shocked me.
Yeah.
Shocked me.
Whereas Maul versus Vader, I think, would have been a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about Maul versus Kenobi. Within 3 strikes, the battle is over. What did you think about that?
I was watching the episode with my girlfriend Claire, and she was sitting next to me, and she might have I think she pointed out afterwards that she noticed that during the fight, from the beginning of the fight to the end of the episode, I had the same face, which was sort of my mouth was open, just like, what? And at that point, I was totally numb. I did not like it initially because I was confused.
Right.
Because I thought it was cool that it just started. I thought that it was cool that there were no jump cuts. But then once I realized, he cut the lights. Oh, he cut Maul.
Right.
It's not super clear that he cuts Maul.
No.
And I was initially very upset For like 5 seconds, I was upset. And then Maul started talking. And I don't know. I understand in canon why it would make sense. Darth Maul has been walking around Tatooine for who knows how long. He's going delusional. He's going nuts. If you look at his leg when he's shifting his leg right before he fights Obi-Wan, you can see there's holes in the robot leg. There's wires hanging out. He's tired. He's winded. And I mean, he's lived almost like 25 years longer than he was supposed to originally. And he's older than Obi-Wan. So he's been around for a long time. He's tired. He has not adjusted his fighting style. Obi-Wan has been sitting around for 17 years, meditating, sort of becoming like the samurai master. That's the comparison I see being made a lot to Event in Seven Samurai.
Right.
Well, that's because Dave Filoni made that comparison.
Yeah, it was that, and then it was Filoni, and then I remember I was speaking to Brian Young of Full of Sith right before it aired, and he's like, "You should watch Seven Samurai before this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I watched Seven Samurai. I was like, "Oh no!" And then I sort of just put it at the back of my head. I was like, "It's not going to happen." Yeah, it made sense. I think thematically, it was very, very interesting. That might be one of, even though it was short, not even really a duel, I think that might be one of my favorite exchanges of lightsabers in Star Wars. It was very, very callback heavy. And as somebody who, like, the first Star Wars movie I saw when I was 3 was The Phantom Menace. And, like, I noticed right away that Obi-Wan was adjusting his stance and he was in Qui-Gon's stance. Mm-hmm. Like, he went from his stance to Qui-Gon's, and you can see Darth Maul, he's following the same moves he did in The Phantom Menace. He goes for that headbutt on Obi-Wan like he did to Qui-Gon. Right. And Obi-Wan, obviously having seen it, I mean, he just took Maul down. And I don't think Obi-Wan wanted to take Maul out because he said, like, I don't want to fight him, but it seems inevitable. He says something along those lines to Ezra. Right. He didn't want to fight him. He was sort of forced to once Maul started deducing it. Because I think Obi-Wan and Maul have a connection, sort of the way that Ezra and Maul have a connection. I don't know if Force bonds are a thing in canon, but in Legends there are characters who are bonded together by the Force. And I think Obi-Wan and Maul are like that. Because Obi-Wan's entire future is centered, or the divergence point for him is when Maul enters the picture. It's when he kills Maul. He gets the high ground strategy experience, whatever you want to call it, to take down Anakin in Revenge of the Sith from jumping over Maul. He knows how to counter it because of that. Maul has been a constant in his life. Like, once he kills Maul, he's holding Maul like his loved ones, not like an enemy. Right. Mm-hmm. He's holding Maul the exact same way that he held Qui-Gon and the exact same way that he held Satine. Mm-hmm. He closes Maul's eyes after he dies. I sort of view Obi-Wan and Maul as like estranged brothers more than adversaries. Right. That's how I always have viewed them. So I'm happy it was Obi-Wan that killed him. It made sense. Like, thinking about it, it makes sense in canon that the fight was so short. I still think I would have liked to see more, but it also would have been very weird to have a Duel of the Fates, like, sound, music callback in a desert with nothing but a fire pit. Right. Yeah, this would have been odd.
After the fight was over, I was thinking, wait a minute, this is kind of like the Anakin versus Count Dooku battle in Attack of the Clones. It was really over before it started. I wanted to see more. And where this was extremely short, and it wasn't until after Dave Filoni had gone on Rebels Recon and he justified why the fight was so short, equating it with the old samurai films. And that's when I started seeing posts by people saying, yeah, I understand that. But if he hadn't said that, would we be satisfied with that answer?
Well, no.
With the fact that the duel was so short?
Well, I know. See, I know when we watched it, Richard, we actually had to rewind it.
A couple of times
to be like, wait, did he kill Darth Maul? Like, I'm not familiar with the samurai movies at all. Right. Neither are you, right?
No, I'm not. And I didn't know what happened because in The Phantom Menace, when Obi-Wan slices Darth Maul in half, we see the red smoke emerge. Yeah. Oh, and this time, I looked for that, and I didn't see it, so I thought, oh, okay, so Darth Maul's not dead, but maybe he is.
Well, there was some smoke.
There was smoke from the broken lightsaber.
Oh, is
when
that
Obi-Wan
what it was?
had slashed the lightsaber in half, there was smoke from there. There was no sparks, but there was smoke.
Oh, I thought the smoke was from his chest.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
When we had just watched it about 20 minutes ago, and we looked at it like 3 or 4 times, and there was smoke, and because it wasn't red, like it was in The Phantom Menace, I'm just assuming that it came from the broken lightsaber.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I like the way that it happened. I'm sort of coming to terms with it. I'm upset that Darth Maul is dead. I think Witwer said something in Rebels Recon that made me slightly happier. That was like, this is the end of Maul in the timeline, but it's not the last you see of him. And that's something that I really want to be the case. Like, Han Solo is dead in the timeline, but Han Solo's story is not over. You're still going to be getting Han Solo stories for the rest of your life. I'm fine getting Darth Maul stories for the rest of my life. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like that, but he's my favorite character. I'll take it all the day. I just think symbolically, thematically, the episode is very, very strong. It follows the parallels of the first fight with Qui-Gon. Like, Qui-Gon's last words are to Obi-Wan are like, he is the chosen one, and Maul's are, is he the chosen one? It's super, super clear that they're paralleling each other.
Yeah.
Not that Maul is like master, more like a fellow apprentice or a brother to Obi-Wan. That's really how I view it. I like that Maul said he will avenge us, because you can take that multiple ways. You can take that he will avenge Maul and Obi-Wan, because it obviously
by bringing
Sidious,
down the Empire.
Yeah, Sidious is the one who is responsible, like by proxy, for Qui-Gon being dead, for the Jedi falling. You can also throw us and equate that with Mother Talzin, Maul's mother, or Savage, Maul's brother, or just them as individuals. Like, if Sidious wasn't in the picture, would Maul have become a Jedi? Something like that. Like, you don't know what could have happened. I thought that was a very beautiful way to end the story, with him saying it like that, with Obi-Wan to close his eyes.
Yeah, it was very, very symbolic.
Yeah, that's probably the closest I've come to tearing up at anything Star Wars. Like, to be honest, like I knew that Han Solo was going to die, because I had that ruined for me.
Oh no!
In The Force Awakens.
Oh no!
Like I had it very clear. I very clearly knew, like, Han Solo's the father. Han Solo's going to die. Like, I can see this from a mile away. I remember hearing that like 2 years before the movie.
So no one told you. You just figured it out.
I figured it out, and then I was told. Like, I figured it out just by like assuming, and then somebody that I'm still upset with said, like, yeah, and when Han dies, I'm like, come on, just like
name names.
It's like a month before the movie.
Name names.
But no, absolutely not. It's somebody that I don't want to name their name.
It was
I don't talk to them anymore.
It was David Prowse, wasn't it?
Yes. No, but yeah, I don't know. It was very emotional for me, because the Maul character I've seen. It's not often that you see a character in one timeline die twice.
Yeah.
He died when I was a kid, and he was always dead. And then they brought him back, and I was super happy. And then I saw him die again. So it's very, in some like stories, like in Batman, you'll see a lot of characters die and come back, but it's different timelines. This is one concurrent timeline, and I saw Maul die, and it was upsetting. I just think that it was handled well. I wish that there was more Maul in the episode. I think the Obi-Wan amount was fine. I think the Luke thing was unnecessary, but I mean, it fit, I guess. I like the callbacks to Old Wounds. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Old Wounds comic.
No.
It's only about 15 pages. It's what this entire exchange is based off of. I think it was it was around the time of Revenge of the Sith. There were a bunch of artists who were like commissioned to make mini comics. And it was always non-canon. It was a comic where Obi-Wan is basically on the Lars homestead, and Maul is alive, and he has robot legs. And this is long before he was brought back in the Clone Wars. A lot of Maul's resurrection and influence comes from this. He basically comes back, and he fights Obi-Wan on the Lars homestead. And they're fighting. Maul has robot legs. His horns are like gigantic, like you see them the first time in the Clone Wars. It's like an epic little comic. And then it ends with Owen Lars shooting Maul in the head. Like, very, very gory, grotesque. It's non-canon, but like Obi-Wan at one point says, like, I will take care of this old wound, a reference to the name of the old comic, Old Wounds. Like, it's very, very clear. I'm just happy that Owen Lars did not kill Maul, because if that happened, I would have laughed, and then I would just be like, oh, dang it. I was just got so mad.
That does sound familiar, those visuals. I don't know where I'd seen that, but I'd seen it somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We had, you, Richard, had posted this episode in our Facebook group. And
boy, did it get comments.
Yeah. You posted a discussion, and it got like a ton of comments, and we just want to read a few of them here. So Matt Clifton thought...
I love him.
Yeah, he said, I thought the ending duel was fitting. I thought I wanted more at first. I literally rewound it to see the 1, 2, 3 again. It was actually a perfect samurai moment. I'm glad it ended like that. It's like I've been saying all day. Everyone wants to believe the shootout at the OK Corral lasted 5 minutes when it was probably over in about 10 seconds. So he kind of agrees with you there, Tyler.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, you know what, going back to when you had, when we were talking about all the parallels to Qui-Gon, with Obi-Wan, one thing that just occurred to me when Obi-Wan was first facing off against Darth Maul, he first stood like the Revenge of the Sith pose,
right,
with the lightsaber next to his head and his fingers outstretched. Then he went to the Episode 4 stance with the lightsaber coming, just pointing right at him, directly at him. Then he went to the Qui-Gon stance.
Yeah, I think that's because Obi-Wan has sort of had Obi-Wan is very far beyond the last time he saw Maul. And previous to, not a ton of people realize the last time he and Maul saw each other was not like on Mandalore. It was on Vizsla Keep in the Son of Dathomir comics. They like briefly see each other and then they go their separate ways. To my knowledge, they haven't seen each other since then. Maybe they'll expand upon it and they have, but it's been 17 years and everybody knows that Obi-Wan has been getting trained by Qui-Gon and he's been training with Yoda in preparation for becoming one with the Force. And he's in tune with the Force in a way that, not many people have been. So you see him go from like the young man he once was to the old man who's tired, the like facade. And then you sort of see him maybe as a tribute, maybe because he just realizes like, I'm not putting on a show. I'm not trying to show off to Luke. I'm not trying to trick Luke or Vader into thinking that I'm like a crippled old man. I feel like seeing this, I feel like Obi-Wan could have just like crushed Vader in Episode 4 if he really wanted to. Mm-hmm. Like he could have just ended Vader and been like, "Hey, Luke, I killed your dad," a couple years later, or just not even told him. I think that would have been possible. But I think it was just he was I don't know. Maybe if they ever do a book, they'll say he was like communing with Qui-Gon. I think that exchange of them like exchanging looks, being very just quietly looking at each other, adjusting their poses. You could make that like 10 or 15 pages in a book.
Yeah, you could. Oh, that
make it dialogue between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Like Qui-Gon just like saying like let him go or something. Like give him what he wants. I don't know. Now, I'm not a writer.
How would that have played in this episode? Had right before he did the Qui-Gon fighting stance, that he looked over Maul's shoulder, and there for a couple of beats, you did see Qui-Gon, and that's what provoked him to move into that stance.
Yeah, it could have been Qui-Gon, or I think they made it clear that like Qui-Gon can't appear as a ghost. He can only appear
as a voice.
Yeah, as a voice, he can only appear as Liam Neeson's voiceover and those like little balls of light that Yoda followed in the Yoda arc in the Clone Wars. That was Netflix exclusive.
But maybe at this point in the timeline, he did learn those skills, and it was just for a couple of beats that we saw him. That's all the power he could muster.
Yeah, or you could even just seen like the balls of light or something, or maybe like hearing his voice, having Obi-Wan just look around, nod. Mouth, you don't hear what he says. I don't know. Something like that could have been cool. I hope they really expand upon it like a book. I just want to read, I just want to make it last a bit longer than 3 seconds. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been cool too, to hear his voice kind of like what we heard in Attack of the Clones. We heard Qui-Gon yelling back to Yoda.
Anakin. Well, we did hear some whispers and drums like you hear in The Phantom Menace when you see Maul on screen, Darth Maul on screen. So
yeah, and
that was interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was a very cool entrance of like the only person who gained anything was, and then Sam Witwer just like me, just cowering up. And then Ezra leaves with Chopper and Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, another reason why I want this to be a book or a novelization or something is because I want to know what Obi-Wan and Chopper said to each other, because not many people talk about that. But like Obi-Wan brought Chopper back. I want to know what they talked about. Because now Chopper is aware of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and let's give a couple of shout-outs now to Chopper. This was the best I've ever seen him animated. Oh, he was so good.
You think this is the best Chopper has been?
Yes, this is the best Chopper has been in animation, and then just the vocal qualities. Because now we're like, wait a minute, I know exactly what he said, even though before it's been implied, but it's like it was so clear what he's saying.
This was very clear that at one point it sounded like he said a bad word, and then no at the end of it. It's like, let's go to the desert.
And he says, what?
Yeah, but this almost rivaled BB-8's animation in The Force Awakens.
I like Chopper a lot. I know a lot of people dislike him. But, I mean, there's a lot of people that like Ezra and dislike Chopper, and then there's a lot of people that like Chopper and dislike Ezra. I'm one of those. I'm one of the latter.
And I really like, honestly, the animation for Ben Kenobi is so well done. Like, watching it a second time, we just did, I was a little sad. Like, I'm one of the people who just am not into this episode. Like, it devices. I'm sad that I don't like it, but I do like Ben's animation, and the vocal work by Steven Stanton is amazing. Yeah,
top notch.
One doesn't survive as long as I have by being foolish or unprepared. Maul is an old adversary, and a persistent one at that.
I love it. So like that is what I can be happy about in this episode, and I'm gonna cling to that.
Steven Stanton did such a phenomenal job, and I was almost worried that because I wanted to hear James Arnold Taylor.
Right.
Come on, he is Obi-Wan, and I know Steven Stanton is really good, but is he going to be able to pull off Ben Kenobi? And I would have thought it was Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was him. It was so good. That vocal quality and the line readings were fantastic.
I loved it. And yeah, like you said, you could see his wig line in the animation.
Yeah. Did you catch that? That was the funniest thing ever. They actually animated the wig line into Ben Kenobi.
I did not catch that, no.
If you look back now at Alec Guinness in Star Wars, you'll see a little wig line going around his head.
It's like the toupee line almost,
exactly,
right?
yes.
That's like that's the hair.
And the hair is not quite the right color, and they even took it down a shade between the two. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
I was too busy focused on just like on saying goodbye to Maul than the Ben Kenobi stuff. Like seeing Ben Kenobi really didn't do a gigantic amount for me, and I love Obi-Wan. It was just like once Maul was like with him. I think it's just very, very interesting, like the implications. I love knowing the little things about like where lightsabers came from, and I don't know what happened to Maul's body. Like I want to know what happened to Maul's body. Did Obi-Wan bury him in Luke's backyard?
Well, he did have a fire pit going there.
Did he burn Maul's body like he did Qui-Gon's? Did he feed Maul to Doobie-Wan Kenobi so that Doobie could absorb Maul's soul and get his powers?
If anything, Ben, just throw him on that fire pit just to be done with it. Because if you don't, he's gonna come back.
Yeah, right?
Is Doobie-Wan Kenobi going to be the first Sith Dewback? Who knows? But I think it's all very... I can understand why people dislike it, and there are parts of me that really dislike it, and then there are parts of me that really like it. It's one of the most conflicted things I've ever had about Star Wars. I enjoy it. I watched it again today. I'd be happy to watch again. I think it's in my top 3 episode of Rebels.
Wow.
Next to the Sabine episode with the Darksaber where she's training with Kanan, and then Twilight the Apprentice. Right. I think this episode absolutely should have been longer. 0 hour better be really good to justify this only being 22 minutes. I'll tell you that much.
Very well said. All right, now let's talk about Luke.
Yes. And the New Hope moment.
Yeah. So, okay, Tyler, you're the guest here. What did you think about the addition of Luke Skywalker in this episode?
I didn't notice him at first. I was watching it, and once I heard like the Luke thing, I saw like the little silhouette, and I was like, seriously? And I was sort of like, okay, I mean, I get it. I read some justification by Dave saying like, they make Rebels assuming that like somebody hasn't seen Star Wars or something like that. So having Luke in there, so it makes sense who Obi-Wan thinks is the chosen one. Like he thinks Luke is the chosen one. That's who he's defending. Like make it clear. I'm super my nightmare, and I made it clear in the Alliance, was my nightmare would have been if like Ezra is lost and he ends up at Tashi Station and he's like asking people for directions, and then like little kid, or you just see the back of his head, like back of 17-year-old Mark Hamill's hair. He's like, oh yeah, you just got to go over there. And then Ezra and Luke like meet each other at Tashi Station. He gets directions. Like if they met each other, if Luke was like his face was shown, I would have been like, this is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. I think it was handled I thought it was handled well. It was totally unnecessary. I'll say that much. But it, like you got to see Obi-Wan make the exact same face he did, like the little hand on the chin that Ewan McGregor and Guinness did. I thought that was interesting.
But when you saw Luke running across to the igloo, is it me, or did Luke look like he was 5 years old?
You know, that's another thing. I was my buddy Mitch and I were texting, and he said, how old is Luke supposed to be? Mm-hmm. I said, he's Ezra's age. He's like 17. He's like, why does he look 4 years old?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Somebody said somewhere, I saw an image that said, like, they used Ezra's season 3 character model as like, a silhouette, but he just looks like an infant. But it doesn't make any sense.
From what perspective did we see that Ezra model? That could have been like from 5 miles away, which would have been really small.
Yeah, but I mean that's obviously something that would have confused people because Ezra and Luke are the same age.
Yeah, when she was yelling for Luke and this little boy runs across, I thought, hey, dude, she didn't call you, she called Luke. Yeah, so I was really confused to the point where, you know what, don't even put this in because this is clearly not Luke and it's making things worse now.
Well, okay, so Joey Pittman and Donald Wicks, who actually saw it on a cinematic screen.
Yeah,
we'll
talk to them in a few minutes.
Yeah, so we asked them after the fact what they thought Luke looked like, and they kind of agreed on about 12 to 14. And that's seeing it on a bigger screen where you can really see it. Like, I know when we saw Twilight of the Apprentice, and you can really see Ahsoka, you know, descending into the temple at the very end, whereas most people who saw it on a small screen didn't even see Ahsoka and didn't know that she could possibly be portrayed there. I think we have to go with that, even though it does look like he is very young.
So now, because of all these things we've been talking about, just I can't put this in one of my favorites of a category, just because there's so many holes in this episode. And
we're sad.
And we didn't even touch on the most of the holes that I'd seen because I don't want to go there.
Right.
I just want to focus on the good points and on the important stuff.
Here's the thing about the holes is I think when you're talking about the holes in the episode, I think it might be more, and I mean, it's obvious. Most of the complaints about Rebels are this, and it's complaints about everything. I think it's a lot of, I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like X, I didn't like Y. I think the episode is good. I think it just has a lot of things that people maybe aren't fans of. Like, I think that the final duel between the two was good, but I can absolutely see why people think that it's awful. It's by far, I think, the most controversial episode of Rebels. Or maybe even Star Wars content in a long time. And I think it's good. I don't think there's anybody out there saying that it's atrocious. Maybe somebody who's a bigger Maul fanboy than me, but that's just because they're upset that he's dead. I'm excited about like the future of Maul. There's a lot of stuff we still don't know. There's a lot of stuff I want to know. I want to know how he got all that art on Dathomir. I want to know why he is the Shadow. I want to know a lot more about Maul. I'm upset that he's dead, but I think the episode was good. It just should have been longer. It absolutely should have been longer.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the things that I would nitpick are, I feel like happened because they're writing to a younger audience. But Dave Filoni should know that it's not a younger audience who's going to be watching this and taking it apart.
No, my conspiracy theory is that there are no kids that actually watch Rebels of their own accord. It's parents who want to watch Rebels and then they watch it with their children. I don't think that there's an audience of kids who are whose parents don't care about Star Wars who are really into Rebels. It's just the episode didn't really feel like a story was being told. It felt like it was tying up a loose end, or that it was just like an epilogue of sorts. Because the Maul story over the season, I will say, is disappointing. As a whole, like the Maul character, I think it's a good end. From season 3 to the end of season 3, it's not good. Because Maul was like there for a little bit. He had a vision. He disappeared for the entire season. And then he was back for 3 minutes and they killed him. That's not a story. That's tying up a loose end. And I don't think that he should have been more overarching somehow this season. Like maybe give him Death Watch back. Right. Like maybe have Sabine take Death Watch from Maul. At least involve him. Now, when you have Maul and Thrawn, two superimposing villains who I think are very strong characters, it's hard to involve both of them in an equal capacity. But I don't know. It was odd in the grand scope of like season 3. It's it's very, very disappointing. But as a Maul fan, I think it's appropriate. I just wish it were in a different medium. And if it had to be Rebels, I wish the episode was longer. But I mean, he's dead. There's nothing I can do anymore.
Exactly. Well,
It could all be a dream, just like a 1980s nighttime soap.
It's an episode of The Twilight Zone, and the actual fight is actually 6 hours long.
There you go. You know what? Where do you go from there? All right, Tyler. Well, thank you very much for coming on once again and giving us your input, and especially to an episode like this that was so Darth Maul-centric. Now, if anyone wants to hit you up and, well, complain about what you had to say or what we had to say or just to say hi, well, how could they find you on social media?
A few ways. You can follow me on Twitter at @TWesthouse, at TWESTHAUSE. You can catch me in the Star Wars Podcast Alliance Facebook group. It's the group I run. A lot of great Star Wars fans in there. If you're a content creator, come in, post your content. You can also find me in the Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group. I frequent that quite often. If you want to meet me in person, you can go to Star Wars Celebration Orlando very shortly, and you can go to the Drowning in Moonlight Carrie Fisher Memorial Gala. It's a big gala with a ton of podcasters who are going to be there. A lot of special guests who we can't say their names, but if you go, you are not going to be disappointed. There's a ton of people who I would never in my wildest dreams imagine would attend, and they are going.
Wow.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You can get tickets at drowninginmoonlight.com. All the money's going towards the Midnight Mission charity. It's going to be a really fun event. Like I said, Twitter, the Podcast Alliance. That's it.
Drowning in Moonlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Drowning
All
in
right.
Moonlight.
Or just come meet you in, what 3 weeks now?
Yep.
Yeah, just yell at me in person.
Woohoo! All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout-out. Who was photobombed? Shout-out. Who was shared a post? Shout-out.
We want to give a big shout-out to Chickafend and his parents.
Yay!
Because they gave us this cute little card.
That is the cutest card I've ever seen in my life.
Goodness, it's so cute. It's a little R2 egg. Oh my goodness. And you open it up and it has more Star Wars eggs.
I would
Little
buy the heck out of those
chewy.
eggs.
I know, they're so cute. And they had just gone on, get this, another cruise, another Disney cruise, and they gave us some smashed pennies from it.
Yeah, the flattened pennies you get at Disneyland,
yes.
Disney World.
Yeah, they're so cute. So one says Disney Cruise Line, and the other has little thing Mickey, Steamboat Mickey, with his wheel.
Yeah, they're going to be joining us on the Skywalking Through Neverland / Stories of the Magic cruise this coming September. We hope to see all of you Skywalkers there. Chick Fans are going to join us. Other Skywalkers are going to join us.
It's going to be awesome.
A podcast cruise. So thank you, Chick Fans. All right, now let's go ahead and read this next email that we had gotten regarding a trip to Disney World, the first time in 30 years. It is from Mohalo Noi.
Oh, Maui Mark.
Maui Mark.
Maui Mark.
Oh, was that Maui Mark?
Yes.
Oh!
The circle is now complete.
Connecting the dots.
Yes.
Connecting the dots. Well, Maui Mark, you're going to take your first Disney World trip in 30 years.
Whoa.
So allow us to read your message.
There we go. Yep, 30 years. Last time was our honeymoon. Vacation set for early September 2017. Time is a bit limited since we're also seeing our 5th grandchild for the first time.
Wow.
Hawaii to Florida is a bit of a trip. What suggestions for a Disney World only visit would you recommend?
Well, they did just open, or they're going to be opening Avatar Land.
Yes, yeah, so that will be open come September.
Yes.
So that's called Pandora, by the way, the world of Pandora at Animal Kingdom.
Everyone will be calling it Avatar Land. Just like
So-
when Star Wars Land opens, doesn't matter what it's going to be called. We've already been programmed to call it Star Wars Land.
Yes, so one of the days, I think you definitely should hit up Animal Kingdom because there is all that new stuff. For one thing, it's open much later, And the Rivers of Light show is finally open as well. So that's like their nighttime entertainment. So you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to check out World of Pandora over there. And then plus, it is a fun park, but do be prepared to do a lot of walking. All right? September, I guess it'll still be pretty warm.
Kids are back in school,
Yes.
so the crowds will have died down, which is good. Good
Yeah.
planning.
Very good. And I think... So that's one day, definitely plan on Animal Kingdom, and that'll take you all day, because that's like a huge park.
And then you can go over to Hollywood Studios and see construction.
Yep.
That's pretty much all there is.
Yeah. Hollywood Studios, you can probably do... like I would get a
20 minutes.
park hopper for that day. Because you can kind of go between Hollywood Studios and Epcot very easily and take this lovely... what is it called? A boat. You can take a boat between the two, and it's this really nice break. It's really pretty. You get to see a lot of the resorts and hotels, and you just get to chill out while the ferry kind of just takes you along the way. So that's beautiful. And then, so do the park hopper option, I would. And then Epcot, of course, is great for adults because in September, I do believe the Food and Wine Festival will be beginning.
Right for your grandchild.
Well, this is something I would do with you and your wife. I think it would be really fun. It's really fun to eat and drink around the world.
Yeah.
It's just like my favorite thing.
And it'll be fun just to find a seat in the shade and just watch.
Absolutely.
People watching at Disney World is so much fun, and seeing how the park has progressed in the 30 years since you've been there.
Yeah, so please take the time to just do that, grab a bite to eat, chill on a bench, and especially if there's going to be some live entertainment in the area, that's a good place to do that, where you can just chill out and people watch and take a break.
So apparently, Mark, you are the sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek guru over there in Maui.
Oh.
Yeah, you appear on a radio show, KAKU 88.5 in Maui.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Got a celebrity here.
That's awesome.
Oh, and it says here that you are a very big Goofy and Star Wars merchandise fan.
Oh.
No shortage. No shortage whatsoever.
Definitely. Oh, Goofy. So a lot of the Goofy merchandise will be probably at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Definitely. So make sure you head there. I don't know, how many days are you going? So if you have limited time, I would spend one day in Animal Kingdom. One day you could do Epcot and
Hollywood
Studios. And then probably one day do Magic Kingdom. So that would be my suggestion.
All right. If you like Goofy and Star Wars, you can get the Darth Vader Goofy figures.
Well, are they still selling those anymore? I don't know if they are.
I saw them at Disneyland when we were just there. They had the mashup characters.
Okay.
But get them while you can.
Michael Emke, who does work at Disney World, did confirm that Food and Wine will be going on in early September. So definitely do that.
All right, so we hope that helped. And yeah, let us know how the trip went after 30 years. It'd be fun to hear your reactions.
Yes.
Now let's move on to this email that we had alluded to earlier.
Yeah, now Eli Potter was very interested in our discussion on LeFou, and last episode we had some questions for you guys as to if Disney does more live-action films, which they are going to do, which characters should be gay or like of a different, just represent a different part of society. So Eli Potter, he wrote in and said, "Too much for a tweet, so I thought I'd email it in. It's a long stretch, but I'd love for Mulan to go all out for true LGBT community. Since she dresses up as a guy to take her father's place, I'd like to see them play her off as a trans guy, being a trans guy myself, and Li Shang as a gay man being in love with Mulan." Wow. Like I said, it's a long stretch, but that would be my ultimate Disney movie live-action adaptation. It would be amazing, but it'd create so much backlash for Disney. May the Force be with you, Eli Potter. Well, you know what, Eli? Thank you for writing in. Wow, that would be, very brave of Disney if they did that.
And as Krennic said, you gotta start somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we really want to thank you, Eli, for writing in. I guess, Mulan seems to be a good one to start with. A good character. She does dress like a guy. It's like...
Yeah. And maybe, this is just my opinion, Mulan isn't one of the most well-known Disney films.
That is your opinion? I know
That's
there's
just
a
my
lot-
opinion.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot of
maybe
people who like her.
Starting with Mulan, it would be a good place for this because people don't have such a strong connection the way they do with Beauty and the Beast,
Right.
Rapunzel,
Cinderella, Snow White.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So would you consider that a fair assessment?
I suppose. I mean, Disney certainly doesn't market her as much as some of the other Disney princesses,
Mhm.
and I think that's why she's less well known. I know there are people like Teresa Delgado who loves Mulan and loves Pocahontas because growing up, those were her princesses. So there are people out there.
And now we're going to hear from the Chickafants again. They had sent in an email regarding Mulan.
Yeah, and this is what they said. The first film that came to mind was Mulan, about the potential of gay characters in other Disney live-action films. So they go on to write, in the animated version, there are 3 male soldiers that help Mulan throughout her journey. Their names are Yao, Ling, and Chin Po. I'm sorry, I haven't watched Mulan in a while, so
That looks right.
Yeah. Any one of them could end up being gay. Disney could play it even more subtle than they did with LeFou in Beauty and the Beast. A major hurdle to this idea, if I remember everything correctly, is the fact that in the direct-to-video sequel, Mulan 2, they all married princesses. Even as forward-thinking as Disney hopes to be, I don't think they would go as far as to play with the concept of one of them being gay and then got married to help hide their real-life feelings or inclinations.
Well, that's a whole different series
Oh,
right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. As forward-thinking as Disney was for Beauty and the Beast, I think that's like another 10 years away from right now.
Yeah, but it's an interesting proposal, and I like that the Chickafants thought outside the box and not just thinking of Mulan, but thinking of some of the surrounding characters as
Right.
well. So if you really want to dive deep into this question, you really have to think of like all the characters from all the different films and how they could relate. So, wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they really have to start with the supporting characters and work their way up.
Right, exactly. But for some reason, Mulan is very ripe for this sort of thought process, I guess.
Now, is it ripe, or are we thinking about this because of Once Upon a Time?
You know what? I'm thinking about it because Once Upon a Time,
Okay.
honestly, because they really did make that clear.
Yeah. All right, Disney.
Your move.
Okay. All right, Skywalkers, what do you think? Tweet at us
At
SkywalkingPod.
SkywalkingPod.
See, now I can say that too because I understand.
You can. And the Chickafants close out their email with, "We look forward to seeing you and all the other Skywalkers that will be attending Celebration Orlando in a few weeks. It's going to be an Urko-tastic time."
Nice. Well, we can't wait to see all 3 of you, Chickafant and Chickafant's parents.
Yes.
All right, our next email comes in from our good friend Patrick Pine. And he says, "Excellent episode."
Referencing 160.
Back when kids would call a phone line to hear a message from one of the main characters from the Star Wars prior to the release of The Empire Strikes Back, though these were glorified ads for the impending sequel to Star Wars, the only way we could find out about the number was from Bantha Tracks.
Oh.
And glorified ads they were. Kudos to their marketing and to Craig Miller, our good friend who produced those phone calls. But yeah, everything we wanted to know came from Bantha Tracks.
Wow.
But we got the monthly Starlog magazines and such, but Bantha Tracks, that was where it was at.
Yeah. Now, Patrick Pine also goes on to reference our Beauty and the Beast discussion and says, "Oh, and Emma Watson's words about individualism, perseverance, and finding your tribe gave me goosebumps and honestly made me misty." It's making me misty now. Thinking about how empowering she can become to many young people, especially saying amazingly natural, intelligent, and eloquent comments like the ones you guys shared.
She is awesome, he writes. And thank you guys for sharing all those bits from the Q&A. Some great comedic moments, too.
Yeah.
And then he says, I love this part, "Skywalking through Neverland really does brighten people's weeks in many varied and sometimes unexpected ways. Bravo once again."
Aww.
Oh, thank you, Patrick Pine. Thank you very much. And to all these Skywalkers who wrote in this week. Much appreciated. All right, with that, let's now go to the Skywalker of the Week.
Lori Lazat, Lori Lazat, Lori Lazat.
Congratulations, Lori Lazat.
Woohoo!
Yes, your time has come. And now, once again, as always, we gotta thank our good friend Rob Dellinger for composing that Skywalker jingle. And Sarah, if anyone else wants to become a recipient of a Skywalker jingle, what must they do?
Well, first of all, they have to share our show in some fun way with their friends and say something nice about it. Can't just retweet. Got to do something nice. And you can do that on Facebook. You can do that on Twitter. You can do that on Instagram. It's amazing. And then you will be entered into the running to win your very own jingle by Rob Dellinger, who is
the John Williams of podcasting. But if people do get their own Skywalker jingle, do you know what may happen to them? They may get an ego that is insufferable.
Oh.
That's a callback from last week's episode.
It is. Or they may get a shirt.
Ooh.
Well, or they can have the option
they
of getting
a shirt.
Yes, they can order a shirt.
But
I know.
I just wanted to call back to our review from last week that said our egos were insufferable.
I know. It's so cute.
Oh, well. All right, now let's talk with our good friends Joey Pittman and Donald Wicks about their journey to Lucasfilm to see Twin Suns up on the big screen.
You're not going to just see one episode tonight. We will show you 3. That means that you all get to have the ultimate test, which I have had since 2005, which is you're going to know stuff about Star Wars well before anybody else. And you can't talk about it. The things that, boy, I could tell you right now, standing on this stage, wow. But I can't. And it sounds like fun, and it sounds exciting, but it is really a test. It's like a Jedi test, you know, and this is a test you cannot fail. You know, so please don't fail this test and keep these. You could talk to the other people here about these cool things or things you liked or didn't like, but you can't really talk outside of that at all. So please don't. I have this burden. I'm familiar with it. So we're all together in on this. You know, to be honest, there are things my crew back there do not know right now about Star Wars Rebels. There are things that happen in Star Wars Rebels that only I could say about 4 people know at this point. I keep a lot of secrets. I like to mess with people. I practice on my crew. And I tell them what I will tell you right now. I take that burden on so you can enjoy the show. It's much better to be surprised. So please. That's very humble. You're welcome. You can tell me. So please enjoy the show. May the Force be with you.
These latest episodes of Star Wars Rebels just keep getting bigger and more visually dynamic. Now, wouldn't it be great to see them on the big screen? If only that could happen.
Well, it did happen for a select group on Friday, March 17th, with not only Twin Suns, but the Season 3 2-part finale was screened up at Lucasfilm. So lucky for all of us, Skywalkers Donald Wicks and Joey Pittman were there to witness and bring back stories guaranteed to make us all very jealous.
Hey, Joey and Donald.
Hey, Richard and Sarah.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
It is going great, and we can't wait to talk about your big screening night. But let's start off by saying we're not going to spoil anything having to do with the season finale, which you just saw. So we'll just talk about Twin Suns.
Everybody dies.
Oh, come on.
Well, that wraps up.
Oh, no, wait. That was Rogue One. Sorry. Oh. I got mixed up.
Which screening did you go to? Now, with that, tell us how you got into this screening.
I got in from Donald, so I'll let him take that over.
Yeah, thankfully I am, of course, you Skywalkers would know I'm a very proud member of a Star Wars costuming group called the Rebel Legion. We represent the good guys of the Star Wars universe. And because we basically live in Lucasfilm's backyard, they, on occasion, invite members from all the groups, the 501st, the Mandalorians, Twin Suns, Saber Guild, and Rebel Legion to Lucasfilm's headquarters to watch episodes of the Clone Wars and Rebels on the giant screen there.
Now, this isn't a weekly thing.
No, this is they do it on occasion. It's I think it's usually when there's a special occasion, like an event as massive as Twin Suns, they usually invite us for the season start or the season finale.
Okay.
And it's not always guaranteed, but it has happened. I've been to about 4 or 5 of these now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, living in Lucasfilm's backyard, wait a minute, did they charge you rent?
No, it's they are very kind to these to our group. So they invite us. They do this for free out of the goodness of their hearts, and we are very appreciative of this.
And out of the goodness of your heart, you invited Skywalker Joey Pittman. Hey, Joey.
Hey, yeah. That was my first time at Lucasfilm, so I was just in awe just being in there. You've seen the Yoda statue and all the movie posters and all the little busts everywhere and Ashley's Lego dress. I mean, yeah, it was really nice of Donald to ask me. So, and I'm was really happy that his wife turned it down too. So,
yeah, we did see a picture of you trying on that Ashley Eckstein Ahsoka Lego dress. I thought, oh.
Yeah, it only fit on my leg, so I had to put it back. So.
Well, you know, it's worth trying. Now, is this on a regular movie-sized screen? Tell us about the screening room they have there.
The theater was is very big, very intimate, but it's nicer than any Cinemark or Regal that I've been in, and almost felt like a cabin inside. But the screen was humongous. Just seeing the scope of the Twin Suns, especially like when there's so many long shots in the episode that you really felt immersed in everything. So I mean, usually I watch the episodes on my phone first because I'm working, then I'll watch it at home.
Wow, that's supposed to have blown your head.
Well, yeah, because it's usually out on Disney XD's app pretty early, so I got to watch it. But yeah, watching it on a full like movie screen, like you're talking about, like how amazing would it be? Well, it was pretty amazing. So,
boy, do you owe Donald big time?
Oh, definitely, forever.
You know, in the immortal words of Maui, what would I say except you're welcome?
And thank you.
No, the theater it's beautiful. They keep it immaculate. They don't allow you to eat or drink in there. There's like no popcorn or food. The sound system is just gorgeous. And it's
top notch.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best theaters I think I've ever been in my life.
And this is up at Lucasfilm in the Presidio, correct?
Exactly. It's basically, if you go to the Yoda statue, the Yoda fountain,
right?
It's that building right there.
Okay.
And just past the lobby is the theater.
Now, have we been in this theater?
We weren't in the theater. We were in the lobby.
Okay, but we've been into the theater at Skywalker Ranch,
yes.
And that's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah, you're thinking about the Stag Theater.
Okay, gotcha.
This is the theater within the Presidio.
Okay, so something new.
Yeah. So how many fans were invited to this?
I don't have an exact count. They pretty much, the theater was basically full, right, Joey? I didn't really get a good look behind me.
Ballpark figure, I'd say it could fit about comfortably, like, I would say 400 or 500 people, and it was pretty close to full.
Whoa.
That's just a guess. We were pretty, I think, like in the 4th row.
Whoa.
Okay.
Something like that in the middle.
Yeah. And then in the very back of the theater, because they were just checking things out and watching, our reaction was a bunch of Lucasfilm employees who works on Rebels, the animators and story writers and the director. And so they were all standing in the back just watching the movie and watching us react to the movie.
Wow.
And many for the first time. Yeah, many for the first time themselves, too, from what it sounded like.
Wow, that's incredible to watch something like this with the
creators.
The creators and some cast members. Oh, I just can't imagine. Being in that room for this particular episode. But along with cast and crew, and more importantly, were there any other Skywalkers there?
I'm not sure. I know I have friends that listen to Skywalking Through Neverland, but I don't know which of my friends are in our private Skywalking Facebook group. I'll have to check on that. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of listeners there, but we were the ones that were there, like, representing Skywalking.
Well, there you go. All right, now, let me ask you two, what did you think of this episode, Twin Suns? Donald?
You know what? It hit me in all the feels. It was the Rebels, to me, I started off not really a big fan, but the more it progresses, the more and this season especially, I am in love with this season. And the touches that they did to kind of blend it into episode 4 with the Tusken Raiders and with the Dewbacks and the twin suns in the sky, the sandstorm, storm's coming in, you better get inside. It totally brought me back to the experiences in the movie, in the films. So I loved it. I really did. I enjoyed it a lot.
I think it's a really different experience seeing it in a big theater on a big theater screen rather than just in our living room.
Just the two of us.
Yeah. So speaking of
definitely.
that, was there like any yelling and screaming going on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There was cheers and applause and woos and
chuckles
everybody. We're like the people that are there are some of the most dedicated fans. They dressed up like plastic spacemen.
Wow.
And go post pictures with kids and whatnot. So they're really big fans, and when they see something like that, they're happy to show their appreciation and react. So the creators know just how much we loved it. So yeah, we all were clapping away.
Right,
awesome.
Right. Joey, how about you? What was your big aha moment? The moment that brought you to tears or that made you stand up and start cheering?
Oh man. Well, usually when I'm watching something, I get excited. I always throw out in the movie, I'll woohoo real quick. But I was beaten. I mean, when you first see Obi-Wan, I mean, it's him when you see his feet walking by, and everybody's just like, everybody just roared in the whole theater. I mean, even like the dewbacks. I mean, just little stuff like that, like Donald said. And I think the one moment that really got me though was the Chopper kind of did when he was following Ezra. He does that little like, okay, I'm leaving. No, I'm going back. No, never mind.
That was cute.
Kind of like that. Kind of like that BB-8 moment when he's looking at Rey and Finn.
That's exactly what I thought of.
But like Donald said, the whole episode, it just grabbed all your old Star Wars feels from a child up to an adult.
And like the emotions, like you were talking about Chopper trying to make his decision. Do I take the safe path or do I follow Ezra? And then after their travels and Chopper's running out of battery power, and it's like he's dying in front of everybody, and everyone was just like, no! Yeah. It was so sad.
Yeah, that was one of those moments that I thought, what's going to happen now? Ezra doesn't have a battery pack. Who could possibly save them? And then out of the sandstorm comes old Ben.
Old Ben Kenobi.
All I can say is wow. I mean, it was we hear just the little bit, you're in the wrong place, on the previews, but I mean, hearing it surround sound, I mean, he totally channeled Alec Guinness. I mean, what an amazing voice actor. And I mean, everybody you could feel the chills that everybody had in the room. At least I did. And it felt like it was just old stock audio that they had packed away for decades.
Yeah, I did find myself going, I wonder how James Arnold Taylor would have read this.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I was kind of in my head when I was in those first phrases that Ben was saying. I was having trouble focusing because I'm like, oh, but James Arnold Taylor. Oh, but I like Steven Sand. Oh, but James Arnold Taylor. I felt bad that it wasn't James Arnold Taylor, and I couldn't get out of my head to enjoy it.
I almost felt guilty listening to it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll tell you something. I kind of felt something similar to what you guys did. If you would have said a week ago, hey, Donald, what do you think about Steven Stanton? I would no, I prefer James Arnold Taylor. But after last night and that experience, and then the Q&A afterwards, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, Dave Filoni said something really thought-provoking. In the original, we have original trilogy, we have Alec Guinness. But in the prequels, we have a different actor. So it made sense to use a different voice actor to voice an older version of the same character.
Right.
All right. So, okay. Interesting. You know what? Let's talk about the Q&A right afterwards. And was the Q&A right after Twin Suns or right after the season finale as well?
It was after all 3 episodes.
All 3 episodes. Okay. So who came out?
Andy Gutierrez, who is the host of the really cool internet Star Wars show that you can see on YouTube, she came out to host, and she introduced Dave Filoni, who sat down on the chair with his famous hat. And after a few minutes of chatting, he mentioned, "Oh, by the way, Sam's here," and he called Sam Witwer, who voices Darth Maul, obviously, down to join him on the stage. And it was pretty much those three for the whole evening.
Okay.
So, Joey, what did you get out of the Q&A that really tied everything together for not just or for Twin Suns or anything else for the whole season?
Well, with the Twin Suns, just seeing how much like Sam just, they said like how one thing they talked about going into Maul was when you first see him was almost like the first time you see him on Clone Wars, where it's just kind of just full of rage and kind of almost crazy like. So they kind of went back to that as he's just stranded on the desert. Like he knows he's so close to Obi-Wan, but Tatooine's just a dead planet and he can't find him anywhere. And so he was almost kind of like losing his mind, and just how he's transitioned his character, from Clone Wars and just the insights. And, it was hard to take in all at once. Cause like I said, I was just like in awe of everything. And it's like, we're standing here watching Rebels Recon, live.
Right.
You could just see in Dave's face too. I mean, you see it on videos, but he's like, God, he knows so much that he's just keeping in,
And you guys videotaped it as well as got an audio recording, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Donald videoed. Yeah.
Yeah, I recorded some clips. I have a few about 13 to 16-minute clips, and one of them I'm actually uploading to our Skywalking Through Neverland private Facebook group. So if you really want to see that and learn about Twin Suns, you should definitely get a hold of Richard and Sarah, send them a message, and say that you heard about this on the episode and you want to join our family, because it is a family of Skywalkers. And Joey recorded a lot of audio. They're on our phones. It's not like we can carry expensive equipment in there for this. It's, something for the fans. But I think with what we came up with, turned out pretty good. So
okay.
Yeah. So how many questions did Dave Filoni avoid?
There was one question. Star Wars fans are synonymous with making their kids ask him really, really awesome questions. And
nice.
he does find it so hard to say no, but he was asked the same question about 3 or 4 times last night, which is Luke going to be in season 4 of Rebels?
Oh.
And like Teflon, he let those answers just slide off of him. He didn't give away anything. So
well, the first one actually, it was a little kid asked him, "Is Luke in episode 4?"
Oh,
and he's like, "Oh yeah, he's in episode 4. He's a big part of it." Then Obi-Wan's in it too. You guys should check it out. It's a real good movie.
We're going to ask Eliza Peralta to ask Dave Filoni about that Luke question.
Yeah. She's not quite as little anymore, though.
Oh, she's 9 now.
I know.
Yeah, she just had a birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday, Eliza.
Yay.
Yeah, we definitely needed her there in our corner to get some questions out.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? Speaking of Maul and Sam Witwer, what did you think of that moment in which Maul and Kenobi duel?
It was fast, but it made sense to the story and to the character, so I'm not mad. I love the flourishing in the beginning was beautiful when Obi-Wan does that move that he did in Revenge of the Sith, and then changes his stance again to a different stance, and then it's over. It's awesome because it proves just how strong and powerful that Obi-Wan is. Just how you don't mess with him. He's just so powerful.
Yeah, he started off with that Revenge of the Sith stance with the lightsaber right next to his head.
Yes.
Yeah, what I saw was like he did his little finger point deal. Then he saw Maul did kind of got in his stance. Then he saw where his stance was, and he recognized it. Dave addressed this when Andy asked a question, and so he changed his stance because he kind of knew what he was going to do, and he brought up the Seventh Samurai in the Q&A, where I think he did this on Recon too, also, but where some of the best sword fights are actually really quick because there's no reason for just the drawn out So even though he said it might have seemed anticlimactic, it's just like Maul and Obi-Wan have gone on such separate paths. You know, Obi-Wan's been not just in hiding, but just really getting in tune with the Force, either communing with Yoda, Qui-Gon, you know, just really just focusing and living through the Force. And it was just no match because he was so in tuned.
Right.
How long was the Q&A?
A good 40 minutes, I would think.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
because the audio I got of the Q&A was about 25 minutes, but I didn't record the whole thing.
Was it all about Twin Suns, or was there anything about the season finale?
Oh, no, the season finale was a big topic.
Okay.
All right, so we won't go there, but I have to go there, and I have to know, does the season end with a nail-biting cliffhanger?
It ends with credits.
Oh, come on.
Wah, wah, wah.
We need Eliza. I can't give in.
I'm not telling.
Yeah.
I don't say it was that. I don't know how to say it.
Does something happen where it's gonna tear ourselves apart, knowing we have to wait another 7 months to find the answer?
I would say it doesn't tear you apart, but just like every episode this season, it's like, all right, I'm ready for the next one. If you look at the timeline, we are getting close to pretty familiar territory.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm thinking back to the Clone Wars season that ended with the shot of Darth Maul's face and Mother Talzin's, I want to say crystal ball, when it was like, I can't wait 7 months to find out what happens with Darth Maul. I want to know now.
Well, I don't think you're going to have to wait that long. One thing that Dave did say, and I'm pretty positive that these episodes will be done by the time that people are at Celebration Orlando.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
That he's got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about at the Rebels panel in Celebration. So I think that you're going to learn a good amount of stuff and won't have to wait the full 7 or 8 months.
Okay.
Agreed.
So he did say that, and I don't think that that's a spoiler.
No, not at all. But can you tell us how many big moments there were that were totally unexpected?
I'm gonna, guys. See, this is hard because I want to say stuff, but I don't want to spoil the experience for anybody.
Maybe I shouldn't ask.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that moment in Twilight of the Apprentice where Ahsoka slices Vader's helmet and we see Anakin. That to me was like one of those, like, oh, I did not see that coming.
Let me say this, and I don't think that this is much of a spoiler. And if it is, I apologize. But I think that for me, 0 Hour Parts 1 and 2 is very cinematic. I think it reminds me a lot of the stuff from the movies that we loved as kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally. I was just about to say that with, and they even mentioned this too, but season 2 finale was a lot more of a personal story between, just a few characters.
Right.
But, this season finale, the 2 episodes, it's like Donald said, it's more cinematic. It's a bigger scale.
Okay.
Wow.
That leads into, like I said, some pretty familiar territory.
Wow. Bigger than Twilight of the Apprentice? Goodness.
Oh yeah.
It's a different feel, a different experience.
Yeah.
Correct, but the scale is bigger.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I'm excited to see that. I think we need to find a bigger screen to watch this on, Richard. So how about we go shopping to Best Buy and buy a bigger TV?
You know what? I'm down.
Yes!
I will do this.
You know what I'll do? How about this? The next time that I get an invite, I am allowed to take, usually it's just one guest.
Mm-hmm.
So I can ask you guys, you guys get first dibs. If my wife doesn't want to go, and I know she won't, I will ask you first. If you wanted to take a quick drive up and watch the thing and hang out and experience this, you guys have first dibs.
Aw. Well, now I feel bad for Joey, though.
How about if Joey's your guest, and then we'll be Joey's guests?
Oh, I'll hang out with whoever can get in.
Well, see, it's invite by from. You have to be a member of the Rebel Legion 501st Mandalorian. So those are the people that get invited.
Gotcha.
And those are the people that get to bring a guest. So you can also join one of the costuming clubs. That would be great, too. Become an official member.
I'm part of the 501st.
Well, we're honorary members of the Rebel Legion thanks to you, Donald.
Yeah, see, there you go.
You are. Yeah. You have to be an active member. You are definitely honorary members, and we're happy to have you there. But it's the costume characters because, a lot of us go out, we do, the charity work, the community work, we do conventions and hospital visits. And I think that this is probably one of the ways that they feel that they want to thank us for what we do. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
No, it does make a lot of sense.
Well deserved.
And then speaking of that, did you guys get any swag while you were there?
That we can have. What?
Unfortunately, this time, for some strange reason, no, they didn't have any swag. The last time I went, and I don't remember what episodes we saw, they gave us one of the big hardback DK Rebels books. The big white one that tells you about all the characters and vehicles.
That could
It's
be
like
one of 5.
Like a visual guide, a visual encyclopedia. They gave those to us, and then they had a big Rebels poster. Like a 24 by 36 poster.
Wow.
Yeah. And now, this time, unfortunately, Dave and Sam had to cut out, so they weren't able to sign autographs or take pictures. But the last time I went, Taylor Gray and Steve Bloom were there, and they were so gracious. They hung out and took pictures with everybody and autographed stuff for everybody. So it kind of depends. Yeah.
If there's no swag, then I think you're in the right to take home that Ahsoka Lego dress.
Or at least a Lego.
I got an eyeball.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to put limits on it, sure. Okay.
That's funny.
Just take part of the Leiku.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for joining us and taking some audio of this Q&A and everything.
And the pictures.
Yeah, we so appreciate it. And can you guys tell us where we can find you on social media? Donald, can you go first?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Ren the Jedi, WREN, like the bird the Jedi. I also, for fun, made a character Twitter. It's the real Jack Porkins. So if you do a search for real Jack Porkins, that'll be my character. Cool. And of course, I'm always lurking on the Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group and adminning the public page as well. So that's where you can find me if you want to get a hold of me.
Awesome.
Thank you for all your work there. How about you, Joey?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm on Twitter and Instagram on jpitty23. And like Donald, I'm always on the Skywalking group page.
All right. Always there to help out. Now, before we wrap up, tell us how season 3 ends. Go.
Epically.
Credits.
Credits. Fade black.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Now, before we wrap up, let's play a little audio the guys took from the Q&A. This is where Sam Witwer and Dave Filoni talk about bringing back Maul and Obi-Wan and then explaining why the battle was as quick as it was.
I think we talked about this, that we were taking him right back to the first time we saw him in the Clone Wars. That sort of the statement I think that we were trying to make was that he never left that cave where Savage found him, in a way. This is a guy who's been going in circles for a long, long time, and all he knows is that he needs to get something from Obi-Wan Kenobi. And in one sense, he is correct. But what he needs to get, he doesn't know. And he finds out.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things to tackle in that episode, and we debated a long time. Is it like a two-parter? Is it a one-parter? The reason that it's a single episode is that the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi can only serve Ezra's story in one particular way. If he's in 2 episodes, it's just he's overpowering as a character. So he's not as important to Ezra's story as, say, Ahsoka was. It's Obi-Wan just more like, why are you here in this plot? You belong in that plot. And that's the joke concession, but the truth concession is that he's just trying to point out that oftentimes we have problems, we look for other people to solve them. very simply. And Ezra doesn't need him to solve his problems. He's brave enough on his own with his friends. That was one of the thoughts. The other big thought, and something I want to express, is we break this rule in Star Wars all the time, but if you can imagine when Maul gets to Tatooine, in almost every movie you watch, people land, within several yards of where that person is. And just go right to the person. And we do that all the time for time and plot, just to keep the story moving. But in this case, I wanted to show that because Obi-Wan didn't want to be found, that it would be very hard if you landed on the planet Earth and you land on the wrong side of it. And no matter how close you think you can get, you just can't find Obi-Wan. He does not want to be found.
It's a lot of walking.
Yeah, it's a lot of walking, and he's in a treacherous place. So there were a couple different versions of the script that we had early on. One of them actually had Kanan go to Tatooine with Ezra. But in the end, when I was going over it, I just thought it doesn't make sense. Like, you need as few people to come in contact with Obi-Wan as possible and make this still all believable that nobody knows where he is. And so that was where the hologram of Obi-Wan in the beginning was added really late. When I did a rewrite, I added that kind of mystical connection between him and Ezra to pull Ezra into the story and to leave everybody else behind. So, but the beginning made an even longer version of you out there in the middle of nothingness, just to express the feeling of nothingness that surrounds you when you're out there, and you realize the commitment that Obi-Wan also himself has when he's out there in the middle of nowhere. It's not an easy place to be. So,
you know what I find interesting about Star Wars in general and what you maintain with Star Wars is it's more about what's not said than it is about what is said, right? Because there is all this history between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul. And there's a lot of things that happen. And I remember we talked about is it okay if I share what was originally in one of the...
I don't know, because then it will be said. You just said it was so much more awesome when it's not said. It's so great, all the things that are unsaid.
I'm going to say it. Say it. There was a version where he was hallucinating out in the desert.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Should I tell him?
No.
It's too late now.
And in the hallucinations, he was talking to Savage Opress. I'm fired, but I'm already dead. But here's the interesting thing, right? As the guy who plays Darth Maul, I want all this dialogue about Satine.
Yeah, if you have a question.
So anyway,
I wanted to get to the actual fight, because there were very deliberate choices that were made with that fight, and we've talked about it before, but some people might look at it as anticlimactic, and some people, like me, might look at it and think that it's perfect, and it happens exactly the way that it needed to. Can you tell me a little bit about why you came to the choice of having it be so decisive and quick, and your influences there?
It was it wasn't a big debate for me. I always felt that it went like this, because I have to think in terms of the overall progression of the characters. And to have Obi-Wan go on yet another prolonged lightsaber fight with Maul is to say that he's learned absolutely nothing, or whatever Maul has learned is an equal proportion to Obi-Wan. That's just not true. Maul is evil and conflicted, yes, but his biggest problem is he's never been able to let go of all the things that drag him down in the first place. To the very last breath, he is hoping for revenge. And that is not a way that you can exist. If you follow what George is trying to teach you by watching Star Wars, the only thing that enlightens you and frees you is a selfless path. And he and I used to talk about it all the time, which is that when you're selfish, you're greedy, you get to doing things for yourself that makes you feel better. You have that desire, that passion, and it makes you feel better in the moment, and then you need more of it because it never satisfies, and you need more of it, it never satisfies. And that's the path of the selfishness. To be selfless when you do something for someone else is the only way that you can receive joy or true happiness back, and that feeling just never goes away. So you need to do things for other people. And this is George's philosophy. This is what I learned in the course of years, and no one person is going to save you either, according to that philosophy. So Luke saves his father, yes, but his father in turn also saves him because they inspire each other. They're both doing something selfless for one another. It's a beautiful thing, and it speaks to just giving to others freely. So Obi-Wan is at a point, and he says to Ezra that I didn't want to kill him. I don't want to have to fight him. but that's inevitable now. And in a way, it's a little bit like if you hadn't come here, you know, what he would want is for Maul to see a different way, for Maul to let go of those things, and he's forgiven him for everything he's done to him. But he can't jeopardize what's at stake on Tatooine. He can't jeopardize what he sees as the future. So he's forced into a moment where he has to do something. And that's, to me, what that moment. Now, cinematically, because they're film buffs here, I'll reference The Seven Samurai. Yes. And in The Seven Samurai, there's the greatest swordsman. His name is Kyuzo. And Kyuzo is, you cannot beat him sword to sword. It will never happen. And most people who fight with a sword that really know what they're doing will tell you, when you meet somebody else who can really fight with a sword, it is going to be very short, because you'll have a weakness, the other person will find it, and it's over. So it's to speak to Obi-Wan's expertise, actually, at what he's doing, that you see him change his stance. He goes from a stance that Maul's familiar with, his young stance, and then he changes, as Maul changes his footwork, to a different stance that Maul is not familiar with. And in the moment, Maul, being who he is, tries to get Obi-Wan the same way he gets Qui-Gon, with an attack and then a blunt attack of his lightsaber. So he pushes at Obi-Wan's face like he does at Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan's ready for it. And he just slices it in half, and that's a symbolic thing. So it seems very short, but all that thought goes into it. So in one thing, I can homage George, I can homage Kurosawa, who's George's mentor, and I can, so that's all in there.
So that wraps up episode 161 of Skywalking Through Neverland. We would like to thank Tyler Westhause,
Donald Wicks,
Joey Pittman,
and all of you Skywalkers for taking the time out of your schedules and listening and watching our live Facebook and Periscopes. Now, Skywalkers, we want to remind you we have a podcast soundtrack. Rob Dellinger has released an album on iTunes and all digital platforms. It is called Skywalking Through Neverland Awesome Jingle Mix Volume 1. And if you download this, you will help support the show by supporting Rob Dellinger, who composes those jingles every week. He puts a lot of time into this show. And also, if you stream any of those songs from Awesome Jingle Mix Volume 1, the Skywalking Through Neverland version, he also gets a cut of that. So I don't know how the streaming thing works, but he gets like pennies when you stream it. So just hit replay on a bunch of streams of that song if you're doing any of those digital streaming services. All right, also, we are going to have some Skywalker meetups at Star Wars Celebration Orlando. It's going to be amazing. First of all, you will be able to find us at the Carrie Fisher Gala. So that will be Drowning in Moonlight on Thursday evening of Star Wars Celebration Orlando. We will be there. We will be on stage podcasting, and we will be also around the event. So that's a great place to meet us, say hi. We will have buttons, which we just put in the order for. Super exciting. Also, another way you can find us at Star Wars Celebration is going to be Sunday morning. Most likely 11 a.m. at the convention center. We are going to do a Hoojib hop. Everyone's going to get Hoojib ears. We're going to hop around, and we're just going to have this fun, glorious meetup hopping all around the convention center. So I'm excited about that. And if you're staying beyond Star Wars Celebration Orlando into that Monday, you can join us at, and I think it's pretty much decided, at Epcot. And we'll decide on the time. And what we're going to do is we're going to eat and drink around the world because they're having their flower and garden festival. And we're going to end up at Figment's ride through imagination after we've eaten and drunken around the world.
The best ride after you've had a cocktail or two.
Yes. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be loopy. It's going to be awesome. And to remind everyone, September 17th through 22nd, 2017 is a 5-night Skywalking Disney cruise to Baja, Mexico on the Disney Wonder. It will be leaving from San Diego, California on September 17th. So to get more info, please email our friend, podcaster, and cruise buddy, Randy Crane from Stories of the Magic. And you're going to email him cruise@storiesofthemagic.com to get a free, no obligation quote. Now, I believe there are 8 spots left, so hurry up, Skywalkers, hurry up. And just by emailing him, you'll get more info, you'll get to know how much it is, and how you can join us. It's going to be an awesome time.
All right, this is for Maui Mark. This just in from Michael Emke. Darth Vader Goofy is no longer sold.
That's what I thought.
There's always eBay.
Yes.
All right, and there's always RetroZap.com. If you want to hear more awesome shows like Skywalking Through Neverland, but you can also hear Brews and Blasters,
Yep, the Sandcrawler podcast,
Beltway Banthas,
the Deuce Cast movie show,
Starship Sabers and Scoundrels,
and their new show Kanada's Castle, hosted by Devin Myers, who is Red 5 Mom, and Becca Benjamin.
and Techno Retro Dads, and Talking Apes TV, which is going to be coming out in about 2 weeks. Would have been this week, but Mark's got a lot of arguing to edit out.
Uh-oh.
So in about 2 more weeks for the next Talking Apes TV.
Nice. All right, Skywalkers, if you want to join us on social media, we are at Skywalking Pod for Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. And make sure you retweet that contest tweet to win one of 5 digital copies of Rogue One. And that's going to be so exciting. Join us for the March 24th viewing party, Voodoo viewing party. And you can email us, share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com.
Yes, if you have something to tell us that takes up more than 140 characters. And as always, you can also find Skywalking Through Neverland at jedinews.co.uk. Now, we have one more show where Sarah has not sworn, so don't forget to listen right after this for outtakes and bloopers, and this time, Sarah not swearing.
Maybe.
Okay, so we'll cut out right now, so always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said. These latest episodes of Star Wars Rebels just keep getting better and... bleh. One more time. These latest. Can you make that a little bit bigger?
So, does the season end with a nail-biting cliffhanger?
So, suddenly Eliza's from the valley.
Oh well. Actually, I had like one more thought about the Twin Sons episode.
Sure.
This actually just hit me, but I just thought it was so poetic how Obi-Wan kind of embraced Darth Maul the same way he embraced Qui-Gon after he was killed by Darth Maul.
Wow, right.
And they both referred to the Chosen One. So I don't know. I thought there was something like little poetic justice about. I don't know. It just hit me.
No, that makes a lot of sense. It's very referential, and we know that Dave Filoni loves to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I really want to know. Now that you say it's going to be cinematic, my head's going
I don't want to know.
everywhere.
Stop.
Okay, go ahead and tell us. Sarah,
No.
Sarah left the room.
No,
Go
hush.
ahead.
Well, Beavis and Butthead show up.
The fourth is
Stop
cool.
it!
The fourth is cool. Season 4. Shut up, Beavis. I told you there's going to be a season 4.
Get out of my office.
No,
Chopper.
Chopper. Who does your voice, Chopper? Chopper.
Yeah, me.
You can see the look Sarah's giving me right now.
Like it.
Go ahead, try.
I can feel the eyes. I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
that you see.
Okay, watch. Okay, hold on. Let's listen to this. This is Sarah's imitation of Beavis. Go. Yeah.
No, stop it.
I heard a slap.
I know I'll be filling that for another week. And now, Sarah, I will prolong this question. What time is it?
You know what?
Every week.
We need an Apple Watch that can do this faster.
You see in the notes right there.
I know. Shh. Ready?
I'm sorry.
Ready?
3 weeks until celebration.
Woohoo. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness I put in our button order.
Yeah.
Ah.
The debate continues, says Jeremy Hunt. No, not said Brian Sims. Jeremy Hunt said, "Sweet, definitely wants to hear that audio."
Hear that audio? Yes, yes.
Yeah, we got some really good audio coming up on that.
Yeah. Speaking of buttons, we're not these. These are the Celebration 2015.
You're doing a
special
commercial,
buttons.
aren't you?
I am, but we're gonna have that big of a button, the 3-inch button. See, these are the 2.25 inch. We're gonna have a 3-inch button, special edition for Star Wars Celebration Orlando. I'm very excited, and it's gonna have The Force is Strong with our family of Skywalkers.
All right, now let's go into something else from last week. We introduced a new segment that we're now gonna and now. All right, now let's talk about something else from last week where we introduced, and that's the word I'm looking for, introduced.
And then there's also a trivia contest going on as well. That is funny. Mark Von Kugler. Yep, Carbonite Han is standing in. Richard? Yeah. You left and Carbonite Han, like, the microphone is going exactly to his face. So, yes, Han is standing in for Richard. Nice. I love it.
Good. Wow, I didn't know about all those prizes.
I know. See? Exciting. Aren't you glad you're tweeting?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
We have like 3 chances to win because Jedi, Tank, Skywalking Pod, and Sith Rich.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So, guys, I'm glad you all weighed in about twin sons on our Facebook group. Wow, that got a lot of responses. And we want to tell you right now what we said, but you had to listen in.
Yes.
Too, like, I didn't know that Gaston, spoiler alert, died. Now, in the original, it was the Beast. Was it the Beast that let him go?
No. In fact, there was the same moment in both films where the Beast has Gaston by the throat, and and Gaston is like holding on to his hand, his arm, right? And there's a moment where the Beast is gonna let him go over the precipice in both films, but his face, like, especially in the animated version, his eyebrows are all like crinkled up and they slowly go up. His whole face changes and he's like, "No, I'm gonna save you." So he brings him back and he goes, "Just leave, never come back." Right? And so he did that both times.
Right.
In the animated film and this film. Now, and both times, Gaston actually falls to his death. It's not because of the Beast, though. In the animated film, what happens is the Beast he's climbing up the walls, he's about to meet Belle again, and he reaches out his hand to take Belle's hand as he's still, like, on the side of the balcony, and then Gaston actually comes up and stabs him.
Yeah, he pulls a knife.
He pulls a knife. He stabs him in the ribs, like in the back.
Right.
Kind of. But then he loses his grip on the Beast and Gaston falls to his death.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what happens.
Right. Okay, so I knew the Beast was right there, but in the live-action version, I like the fact that the Beast had nothing to do with him falling to his death.
Right. It was Gaston's second shot that was his downfall.
And his fingers stretched out. Then he went into more of a baseball stance. Yeah, look at me using a sports reference. Like he's holding a baseball bat. And I thought, okay, this could be something new for Ben Kenobi, but it took me out of that Ben Obi-Wan moment because we've never seen him hold a lightsaber like that. And,
I thought he was channeling A New Hope there, right?
Well, with A New Hope, he just holds it and it goes straight out. He doesn't hold it like a baseball bat because they had to hide that wire that went from the lightsaber into the battery pack. But yeah, so if they had, like, the first time he ignites the lightsaber when being confronted by Darth Vader, I was hoping to see that stance. But instead we got the swing batter.
Right.
Is that baseball getting the signal from the coach?
Is that just a me thing, or did that strike you two as, that's a little bit different than I expected? To never swear on Alderaan.
Oh.
All right, guys, we gotta go.
You gotta go. All right.
So thanks everyone for joining
Bye.
in. That was fun.
Thank you, David. Oh, Richard Sarah rocks. Okay.
Oh, thank you, David. Thank you. Bye. One of our Skywalkers of the week, David.
Yeah. Bye, you guys.
Yeah, me.